So 2 weeks ago, we went to see a live band. I think that was only the second time me and you have watched live music together that I can remember.
The first time was the big concert at the Voortrekker Monument, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But it was a hell of a lot of fun. I haven't watched a live band in a while. And hanging out with your friends, doing something like that was fantastic.
Super immersive. I think that's the language that, if I have to explain it to anyone, I was sick actually the night we went to see the show. I wasn't
But
feeling very well.
you were in good spirits still. You didn't
Yes.
show that you were getting back.
No, definitely, and I think that's exactly what I'm trying to allude to is the fact that when we're busy with immersive experiences, something that takes you out of your current reality, it actually does energize you. It makes you feel a little bit better. Even the previous show where you weren't with us, but my husband and I went to see another show. It was so immersive that you kind of lose track of time. You don't actually know what time it is. But you're in it, and there's a bunch of people around you. It's a community. You're connecting with strangers and with close people usually. Yeah, so definitely an immersive experience.
And the fun thing for me as well about the last show was, since I've known your husband since we were 13 years old, and we've pretty much been listening to the same music since then. It was so much fun to listen to that music again with him, because it's been our entire life pretty much. We've been enjoying that music.
Yep.
And that was a wonderful reminder of where we've come from and how we grew up. And you felt like a kid again listening to that, which for me made me feel like I was 17. And I don't look 17 anymore. I had less gray hair when I was 17. But it was just a really fun experience.
Yeah, I think also what makes it meaningful is that you can share the memory.
Yeah.
I think obviously it's not my first choice of music, and I didn't really grow up in that environment or with that type of music, but I think buying the time out with someone you care about to do something that they care about I think that's also quite meaningful. And it adds, a relationship. And I actually just read this in a newsletter a little while ago that said, a relationship is not built in the easy times. It's built when you're willing to do the effort in the hard times. And I think often we forget that that's kind of a rule for life, not just for relationships. It's like, are you buying out the time to do the meaningful thing and to share the memory and to connect with people, even though it most likely wouldn't be your first choice or space to be?
Yeah, or the most comfortable thing doing.
Exactly, yes.
Typically, doing the comfortable thing is not the thing that brings the best out of you. So, in the week following the weekend we spent together, I read the following, or actually listened to this on a short excerpt from a podcast. And the guy's name is Steven Pressfield. I don't know who he is, don't know what he does, but he was talking to Andrew Huberman, and he said the following, which immediately resonated with me. It says, many people live their lives and never enact their real calling. So that real calling, whatever it is, and he gives a bunch of examples, but I don't include the examples because that can be limited. If we don't do that in our life, that energy does not go away. So there's a sense of, I need to do something I need to contribute. Yeah. If then we don't do what we're supposed to do with that energy, it goes into a more malignant channel. And it shows itself in addiction, alcoholism, cruelty to others, abuse of others or ourselves, any of the vices that people have. Because that original creative divine energy still remains there. If we yield to our own resistance, because obviously living out that energy, it doesn't come easily. You have to develop a skill or something to give that a channel to go through. And we don't evolve that, then bad things happen. On the other hand, if we do follow that, we open ourselves up to becoming who we really are. So what does this have to do with going to watch live music? I think
Good
for me,
question.
I think after that that weekend, because I got to spend time with people I love,
Mm,
and I got to do things that I enjoy doing. A lot of the things that would typically distract me just didn't entice me at all in that time, because you are building meaningful connections, you're doing meaningful things, and that just brings out the best in you, as opposed to knowing there's something to do, but you don't really know where to channel it. And then every type of distraction feels more, even if it's a thing that's bad for you, it feels more enticing.
Yeah, I think one of the big vices that is very common in most people's lives is our cell phones and the absolute overconnectivity without meaning.
Yes.
So you're so super connected to what's happening around you, but you're actually disconnected from what's happening in front of you.
In your environment, yes.
Yeah, and I think it's an easy distraction, and I find myself even in that loop sometimes where I'm feeling overwhelmed. I feel like I have a lot of things that I need to get done, which I know are meaningful things or things that I should be busy with, if we want to put it that way. But then it's easier to pick up your phone, and so I don't do social media, but to, for example, scroll a online shopping platform for something I don't even need, just because it's a distraction, right? It keeps you out of that space. And I think what we lack the self-awareness at times to catch ourselves in the moment, noticing that this isn't meaningful and this isn't contributing to that bigger picture. We often speak about the why and the purpose and the thing that, drives you forward, even when things are tough, and I don't think that
Especially when it's tough, yeah.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us just don't have that self-awareness or don't spend the time trying to figure it out. I sat with a coaching client this morning, and the individual, with every question I was asking around, okay, but what's your purpose? What are you trying to drive forward? And not asking it so directly, but trying to connect to that meaningful thing for this individual. It was like she was just like a cat on a hot plate, like stepping away continuously. Like, this scares me. I don't want to think about this. I want to think about these things, because I think to a large extent you feel so scared that once you've articulated that thing and you don't live up to it, what then? And I think that's a big fear that plays into most of our lives, is what if I articulate that I want to achieve a certain goal, I want to do a specific thing, and I fail? What then? Which is a very real experience, I think, for most people.
I think something that's very important. I was listening to Arthur Brooks this week talking about phones and how we don't know how to be bored anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks specifically about the lack of purpose that many people in the developed world experience. Because thinking about something like that, like the client who's exited, it's a difficult thing to think through. Although it is not rocket science to think through it, but it's uncomfortable. And as soon as we feel any discomfort, we go for something that distracts us. And he's of the belief that that is why many people feel that their lives lack meaning and real connection, because you are preoccupied, but not with anything that really matters to you.
I want to quickly just look for a quote which I read just a while ago in a newsletter again. And I think it speaks to the same thing, where you're speaking about that inspiration to actually do the right thing, or that motivation to do the right thing. And it was a Russian composer who said, inspiration is a guest that does not willingly visit the lazy. And I think that's quite, like, it's a hard thing to hear, but the hard thing, the less lazy thing to do, is to go and look for the inspiration, to be bored, to sit with an idea, to do the right thing. And I think inspiration isn't something, I mean, a lot of people say, oh, yeah, well, I'm going to just lie on the couch and eventually something will just pop up into my head. That's not the way great ideas were born,
No
So I
way.
think it's definitely something to to ponder on. And I think most people are uncomfortable with the idea of being called lazy. So I think that's why that quote resonated with me is, okay, if you want to feel inspired, then do something. Don't,
something.
even if it is going to watch a show with people or experiencing the life that's right in front of you, that will inspire you. It will inspire you to write. It will inspire you to spend more time with people, to open yourself up a little bit to the world that's right in front of you. Yeah.
That's why the guy refers to, there will be resistance to developing that thing. And like you said, we might feel that we are afraid of failing. If we don't go after it and develop whatever it is that we are called to do, you will fail.
Mm-hmm.
That's the point. It's not just doing the thing, it's being on the road to doing the thing as well.
Mm-hmm. It's a process.
It's a process, and you need to experience the process as meaningful as well.
Yes.
Something else that I saw then from a different source, talking about preoccupation with social media, for example. The guy said, when you are cut off from connection and meaningful pursuit, we seek intensity wherever we can find it.
Mm-hmm.
Even disorder begins to look appealing. But the chaos is really a counterfeit version of feeling alive.
Mm-hmm.
So you look for reasons to get angry at whatever somebody else said on social media, and then your emotions spike, and then you think, I'm alive. But what you're actually just doing is replying to an anonymous person's message. That's not really being alive. A more authentic, lasting, and fulfilling version is found in creating, contributing, committing to a craft, coaching a team, doing real things in the real world that have an impact on the real people.
Mm-hmm.
And that I absolutely love.
Yeah. Not easy to do when you're stuck behind a screen or behind a camera or behind you need to move, you need to do something. And I think that's the key to this whole conversation is embrace the discomfort. Don't listen to the voice that shouts the loudest, but listen to the voice that resonates the most. And I think that's important, because I mean, distraction shouts really loud in all shapes and forms. And I think that's why even our kids at school are struggling with concentration, is because distractions are so surrounded. They are so surrounded with distraction all the time. So yes, crux of the story, get out there and live.
And I really do believe that somebody said once that the opposite of meaningful pursuit is not meaninglessness, it's addiction. Because you look for things to do when that energy can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
One of my favorite stories, we don't typically talk about Bible stories on these chats, but it comes from Nehemiah. And he was an administrator that went back to Jerusalem to rebuild the wall. His story is really cool. It's a really practical story. And the entire wall was smashed. And as a result of that, the remaining inhabitants in the city were struggling because people steal their things, and it was just a bad way of living. And he went back and he said, let's fix this. And there's this really cool verse where there's a bunch of people who don't want him to rebuild the wall. And they are doing things to distract him, and they want to intimidate him, and they want to get him to come to where they are so that they can hurt him or kill him or whatever. And he's standing on the wall, on a ladder, fixing a part of the wall. And the messenger is saying to him, come, they want to talk to you. And he says, I cannot come down. I'm doing a great thing. And that is just spot on. That is 2,500 years ago. He got it already. That when you are doing a great thing, whatever it is that you find great, you don't care about the things that are down there.
But it's also a positive reframe, right? Because I could be a bricklayer, and it reminds me of an example that someone once told me about, am I laying bricks or am I building the cathedral, right? How are you framing what you're busy with? Because it doesn't necessarily mean you need to stop doing whatever you're doing and move on to greener pastures. That's not necessarily what we're proclaiming this morning, but I think what's really important is how do you position what you're busy with? Do you understand that doing the hard, mundane, everyday things is also meaningful in terms of building the cathedral? It's not just laying a brick.
It's something that you consider to be great. It doesn't have to be great in the eyes of other people,
Exactly, definitely.
but you find it meaningful. And if you get to do it alongside people that you enjoy working with, that is a massive bonus as well.
Definitely.
But it's not just work related. It is also investing in meaningful relationships.
Yes.
Relationships, for me personally, you know this perfectly well. The quality of my relationships determine the quality of my life.
Mm.
So if I'm doing well with my friends and my closest people, then my life's going well.
Yeah. And the
If you're-
counter is just as true. I mean, when there's conflict or when there's, and even if it's not necessarily even the people closest to you, but people in that influence you, it can
Yes.
affect and contribute to your experience of your life.
Absolutely it does.
Mm.
So the takeaway, the last thing, is this sounds very abstract maybe, and might think, where the hell do I start? But something that James Clear shared was, think about which activities are the best expression of you.
Mm.
And then find 5 minutes doing one of them today.
Mm.
Love that. Start
Yeah.
small. Do a thing that you think, this is a thing that this is meaningful. And do it for 5 minutes and just see what the experience is of that. And if it works, then you obviously repeat that.
Compound.
Compound.
That's it.
That's a good quick chat.
Agreed.
Lekker.